Hey everybody, welcome back to Pitching Ninja's Filthiest Pitches of the Day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button. About half y'all keep coming back but aren't subscribed. What are you waiting for? Help us get to 100,000, hit subscribe, and without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with Dylan Cease, who had 8 strikeouts in 4 2/3 innings. Gave up no earned runs, but did give up 6 runs. But here in Pitching Ninja World, we care a little less about runs and more about filth, and Dylan's stuff was filthy. He had 6 sliders, painted with his fastball, and here's an overlay that shows how well his fastball and slider work together. His slider peaked at over 3,000 RPMs yesterday, so that is an elite pitch. He also was a victim of perhaps the worst called ball of all time. Check out this curveball. It was straight down the dick, and the home plate umpire balled it. I love the reaction from both teams' announcers.
What a second one. Whoa.
That's a perfect pitch.
Whoa. It's borderline middle.
Borderline middle. That's freaking hilarious. Tyler Anderson, who was pitching for the Dodgers, didn't have a great game, but did have this explosive F-bomb.
Swerves inside ball.
And while watching his funky mechanics, especially his front leg, I finally realized what that reminded me of, so I paired him up with the nearest comp. Their leg mechanics are identical. If you're still staring at it to figure out which is which, Tyler Anderson is on the left. Steven Strasburg finally returned from thoracic outlet syndrome. It's been over a year since he pitched. His velo is way down. He definitely struggled, but it was good to see Strasburg back on the bump because his changeup has always been one of my favorite changeups in the game, and that changeup didn't disappoint. It is still filthy. He was outdueled by Trevor Rogers, who had some nasty changeups of his own and an overpowering fastball. He had 5 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 2 runs. Zach Eflin had these pretty curveballs. Opponents are only hitting 135 against his curveball with a 48% whiff rate, and you can see why. Corbin Burnes had 8 strikeouts in 4 1/3 innings, giving up only 1 earned run. He wasn't at his absolute best, but his stuff was still filthy. He had these cutters and curveballs and this absolutely beautiful backdoor cutter. You can't throw a backdoor cutter better than that. And remember, it won my Prettiest Pitch of the Year award last year and is one of my favorite pitches in baseball. Tyler Mahle struck out 10 hitters in 6 innings, and they were all on fastballs, and most of them elevated fastballs. Max Fried struck out 8 hitters in 6 innings, giving up only 1 run, and a great mix of changeups, sinkers, and sliders, and of course his curveball. Here's an overlay of his 95-mile-an-hour sinker and a 77-mile-an-hour curveball. That is an elite combo. Fried also has perhaps the best pickoff move in the game, and it was on display yesterday. Look at this move. You gotta admit, he would have picked you off, right? You can leave your thoughts of whether this was a balk or not in the comments. Nick Pivetta had 11 strikeouts thanks to his combination of curveballs, changeups, and his fastball. Amazingly, opponents are hitting just 167 off his fastball.
Struck him out.
Shohei Ohtani almost single-handedly stopped the Angels' 14-game losing streak. Ohtani was brilliant on the bump, giving up only 1 run with 6 Ks in 7 innings. He had these ridiculous splitters, a dirty curveball, and an overpowering fastball that touched 101 miles an hour. Not only did he do it on the mound, but he also hit a home run. Check this out. I love Cowboy Shohei at the end. It's like Ohtani felt the need to put the team on his back and end the losing streak himself. Like Max Fried, Shohei also showed off his pickoff move. Okay, maybe that wasn't his best, but he did hilariously let Dahlbeck know he was watching him. Ohtani also ducked this broken bat, showing off his stellar knowledge of English profanity with the "what the f***." And as if he wasn't already a superhero, he even warned the Red Sox dugout on this foul ball, screaming at them to watch out. You can see his utter relief after the final out of the game. Carrying a team like that can get heavy. My filthiest starter yesterday, that was Shane McClanahan. McClanahan's been outstanding all year and had A vicious combo of fastballs, changeups, and sliders. Here's an overlay of his changeup and slider that shows you just how filthy that combination is. Both of those pitches are the same speed and in the same spot, and then they go in different directions. Lastly, I wanted to give a shout out to Jaylyn Whitehead, who is pitching in the D2 World Series. He threw 153 pitches for Rollins. Rollins is trying to make it to the championship game, and Whitehead took it on himself to save their bullpen. Normally, 153 pitches would more than sound the alarm bell, but Whitehead is a grad student, and this is his final game in college. At the press conference afterwards, he explained why he wanted to stay in. This video is courtesy of Josh Rudd.
Yeah, so that was my last pitch in college. So college baseball has given me a lot more than I've ever asked for, and I think looking back at the mound and everything I've done, and exactly what Jared said, it was special to be there with him and to finish out that way. And it's taught me so much about being a man. It's taught me so much about being a baseball player. It's taught me so much about the people in my life. And it was just kind of a way for me to say thank you and tip my cap and know that, what's done is done, and all I can do now is just be the best teammate and try to help us go out and win the next day, but in a different way. And I know that my role as a baseball player is over, but it is what it is. But we're not done here. And yeah, it was just a special moment between
You can't throw tomorrow if they need you for just maybe 20,
I might,
25?
I mean, I might pop up. It depends on what happens, but it's just a special moment between me and the mounds.
Now onto my filthiest relievers. Well, this isn't filthy, but it's kind of filthy decision-making. Tony La Russa decided to intentionally walk Trey Turner on a 1-2 count.
Intentionally walking on 1 and 2.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Spoiler alert, it didn't. Max Muncy hit a home run the very next at bat. And you could see Muncy stare at the White Sox dugout and then seem to say something when he touched home plate, like, "You walking in with 2 strikes? You." I may not be a Hall of Fame manager, but I gotta question that move. Now on to my filthiest pitches. Michael King had this wicked 96-mile-an-hour two-seamer. Miguel Castro had this insane 100-mile-an-hour two-seamer that ran 20 inches, and then I overlaid it with his slider on the next pitch. You can see this is really tough to deal with as a hitter. Every hit in the major leagues is a small miracle. Kyle Crick had this amazing slider at over 3,100 RPMs. I mean, look at that thing go. And if you were wondering why a hitter might swing at that, here's an overlay of that slider with Crick's sinker. And you can see how the sinker gets to the plate, but that slider runs away. And as a hitter, it's really impossible to pick up the spin. That's why a slider and a sinker pair so well together. My filthiest pitches of the night and my filthiest reliever of the year so far is Clay Holmes. Look at these obscene sinkers. I mean, what are you supposed to do with this as a hitter? It's no wonder he has been outstanding this year. He has a .33 ERA this season, and he hasn't given up a run since his very first appearance of the year. If Holmes hasn't earned the Yankees closer position, even after Chapman gets back, I don't know what to tell you. And now, my pitching ninja moment of zen. I could watch Shohei get his signs from PitchCom all day.